All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here with a never-ending flow of information and material to choose from. Talking about real music and doing it in real time for a few real people who remain just like you and just like me. All right, so today in the mail, and a patron, by the way, was like, hey, are you getting this book? Because you're all crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting this book. So here it is. Just so you know, and I do read books, although this one I hear is really tedious. All right. And I started to read it. And holy crap, Batman, who do I find at the beginning in the blurbs before the book even begins? All the recommendations, all the endorsements. Let me read what this gentleman has to say. And then I will disclose his identity as I rock the world with information. And as soon as the rock media hears about this, it's not going to go well for this person, right? Or maybe they'll just ignore it. They'll pretend they didn't hear it. The revelations in this book are disturbing and shocking, exposing how our political system and government agencies can be compromised and how the mainstream media are being used to manipulate and control our everyday experience. That last part is really important. The mainstream media is being used to distort and control our experience. Who do you think that person is? Well, let me give you a hint. He was announced last year as Journey's new bass player. Of course, he had played with Journey back in 86, 87. In fact, Steve Perry said, you know what? I like that guy over there. Sorry, Ross Valerie. We love you, brother. Poor Ross Valerie. He did his job for a number of years. You know, he was good. He was all right. He was steady. But Randy Jackson, wow. American Idol, Journey, African-American, by the way. Interesting. So again, if you believe that this is not the thing to do, you might be against African-Americans, but we find out that there are a few free-thinking, science-loving, truth-embracing African-Americans. In fact, there are quite a few because, well, in the old days, our government used to experiment on these folks. Yeah. And by the way, all these platforms are supposed to be pro like BLM, right? Like BLM, Black Lives Matter, right? They do 100%. But you know what's interesting? What we're finding out, like the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict, where Kyle gets up there on TV and says, I'm for their agenda. I like BLM. Now, personally, I don't like the people who are running it because they say they're kind of like against the family and they're trying to dismantle Western civilization and thought. But when you get down to the grassroots and people are looking for actual civil rights and they don't want to get beat up by a tyrannical police force, I don't know. I think most of that is okay. I don't have a problem with that. It's just, you know, you prosecute the crime and you don't really care about who's doing the crime. But if you're running a police force that seems to be targeting certain individuals because of their color, that's very much wrong. I've never been against that. It's silly. But when Randy Jackson says the media is basically creating a reality that doesn't exist. All right, he wrote the blurb for this book. All right. And people from the left, the right, the center, the apolitical, the people who are just looking at data, right? They're saying, oh, this doesn't look right. And this exposes a whole bunch of people, including the good little emperor who says, maybe you can have a Thanksgiving this year. You know what you want to do is you want to wrap your head in the tinfoil that you would normally put on the turkey. That's what you really want to do. And if you have that bag that you put the turkey in, and maybe instead of putting that on the turkey, you just put it on your uncle's head when he arrives, so everybody will be safe and you'll have a great time. This is where we're at. This is seriously, just hearing these people talk, like, maybe you should not participate in Thanksgiving. Like, what? So anyway, I think the bombshell here is that, number one, Randy has not played a gig with Journey yet. He has, I believe, recorded his bass parts for songs that are on this album that eventually will come out. I'm wondering what Neil Shawn, by the way, thinks of all this. Like, if he's spoken with Randy Jackson. And does Neil Shawn understand what this is? Does he understand that you can't just go along with a big fat narrative all the time, that you have to kind of think for yourself? I bet you Jonathan Cain gets it. Sorry, I hate to take political sides, and I like Neil Shawn. I do. I've had communications with Neil. I think we're on okay terms. I will promote whatever Journey is doing because I love that band and I've grown up with that music. I don't have a problem promoting what they're doing, but we got bigger fish to fry right now. We got a world to save. We got tyranny to destroy, and this is what I don't understand. You can do videos all day long about, this song should have been a hit from 1982, and yet it was a hit in 1982. So are you trying to educate a whole bunch of people who weren't there in 1982 to know the song was a hit? This is weird, right? Because we had top 40, we had rock radio, but there's no recognition of rock radio. So shut up. Do some research, do some homework. But again, videos for the casual fan. I'm not one of those people. I don't do slick production. So here I am. I'm just talking to y'all. And if you like it, great. If you don't, then you can go watch Mr. Slick talk about why Stone in Love wasn't a hit in 1981, 40 years ago. The thing was all over radio. And you're an idiot if you don't know that. So anyway, Randy Jackson was not the bass player then. It was the great Ross Valerie, who got ousted from the band, but who was wished, well. The band said, hey, good luck, Ross. Your coup attempt didn't work, but good luck. Adios. Have a great retirement. We'll give you a little bit of money. Bye-bye. So what's more important is a guy who takes a stand like Randy Jackson, who has got a lot of impact and who means apparently what he says. And I'm going to read this book, and it's going to be difficult because I don't have a lot of time to read. People will send me stuff and they'll say, hey, did you hear? Did you see? And I'm like, dude, I've got like 40 something thousand subscribers and you guys are all on Patreon, which I love. And you're telling me what to read and watch and see. And I'm like, okay, got to go watch the 7-year-old. He's getting into the Halloween candy still, which 25 days later apparently is still a thing, because he can only have 2 pieces of candy a day, and we're not even halfway done with the bucket yet. So dad's got to do patrol. See, I'm just like everybody else, So anyway, here's the book one more time to give it a promotion here, to give it a little more publicity. The Real Little Emperor with No Clothes. Also talking about, Bill and Big Pharma and the global war on democracy and public health. Wow. What a title, huh? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who used to be a hero for those people who are now out there like Gene Simmons. Gene, hey, Gene, you got anything better than this? other than these people should be put in camps or something? You got anything better than that? Gene, Paul Stanley, you got anything better? Sebastian Bach, you got anything better than Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? Probably not. Oh man. Of course, those guys are getting like, either they're getting paid off or they're just really stupid. And I'm thinking it might be both. All right. I'm done. See you soon.